Welcome back, riders. Today is number 6 for 25 Days of Coasters. We have yet another exceptional Rocky Mountain construction coaster for you all today. And honestly, I can't think of any unique introduction for this video, so let's just jump right into it. Today's coaster is Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay. As always, let's go through the stats and background first. Iron Gwazi is located at Busch Gardens Tampa Bay, which is a SeaWorld owned park in Tampa, Florida. Iron Gwazi is yet another Rocky Mountain construction conversion to make my top 25. And this one is like Storm Chaser, where the coaster used to be two separate dueling/racing wooden coasters that was converted to one bigger coaster by Rocky Mountain Construction. Gwazi opened at the park in 1999 and was built by Great Coasters International. One side closed in 2012, while the other was closed in 2015. Iron Gwazi opened in 2022 after a couple years of delays and was nearly twice the size of the original Gwazi. It stands 206 feet tall with a 206-foot drop, taken at 91 degrees beyond vertical, and reaches a top speed of 76 miles per hour, making it the tallest, fastest, and steepest hybrid coaster in the world. Iron Gwazi has 2 or 3 inversions, depending on who you ask, and traverses 4,075 feet of track. I have been able to get 24 rides on Iron Gwazi across one full day at the park in November of 2022, and 3 half-day visits across September and November this year. Iron Gwazi does not have any true theming, but it has some cool lights on it, like on the structure of it for night rides, and it does have a custom soundtrack you can hear sometimes in the station. Iron Gwazi has a weird, smaller drop or like dip out of the station that's actually kind of fun. This leads eventually to a lift hill, which is naturally followed by the drop. This is a killer drop. It is incredibly steep and large, making it just such a rush. For whatever reason, the speed you feel at the bottom of this drop feels so much faster than like even Steel Vengeance. They're practically the same drop size, but for whatever reason, you just feel like you're traveling so much faster on Iron Gwazi. And in fact, the whole ride just feels this way. It just feels like it's absolutely hauling the entire time. The first drop also has a small turn to the right towards the bottom of it. I wouldn't say this like adds any laterals or anything to the ride like that, but it makes the drop slightly less ordinary, and I do like it. From here, you rise up into a pretty great turn. It starts out like a normal overbank turn, but then at the top you switch the other direction and it turns into an outer bank turn. I will say I probably do prefer a traditional outer bank turn, but this turn in particular is still a lot of fun, and I don't necessarily like wish it was a traditional outer bank turn. I think it holds its own. This element then drops down where you continue to just feel the speed, and then you rise up into another bank turn while still climbing up. And then this leads to the famous death roll, which is pretty much the same as a barrel roll down drop that I've mentioned a few times for Storm Chaser and Twisted Timbers, but there are a few key differences with this one on Iron Gwazi. Number one, it's not the main drop. The ride has its own main drop that we already talked about. So the death roll on Iron Gwazi does not come at the cost of a killer drop, which was one of my main gripes on the other two, and Storm Chaser and Twisted Timbers. Number two, you carry so much speed into the roll on Iron Gwazi. The ones on Storm Chaser and Twisted Timbers are a little more floaty. You're coming right off a lift hill, while the one on Iron Gwazi is just trying to rip you apart, much like an actual crocodile's death roll, hence the name. After this element, you rise into what may or may not be an inversion, depending on who you ask. It is an incredibly banked, overbanked turn. Whether it's an inversion or not, it is taken with some incredible speed, and it is very snappy as well. It's a good overbank turn or inversion, whatever. This is followed by the wave turn. This is a good one because, number one, I know like I'm sound like a broken record, but it's taken with a ton insane speed. And number two, you turn the opposite way that you're like turning towards, so it's very aggressive. Your body moves around a lot more. The rest of the ride can be a little repetitive, so I will not carry on describing it element by element, but I do want to point out some things. One, you still have some insane speed for the rest of the ride. That's not going to change. In fact, this has to be the most speed any RMC carries into the final brake run. All the elements are really well paced. That said, after the wave turn, a lot of the elements are smaller and they don't have the most sustained forces. Not the end of the world, but it is notable to me. It is just more quick pops of ejector airtime. There are two exceptions though. Number one is the second or third inversion, which is a 0G stall. I actually think this is one of the weaker stalls out of all the ones. You're just going a little too fast to sit there long enough to feel like you're hanging upside down. It never feels like you actually stalled, if that makes sense. It's still fun, don't get me wrong, just not the same hang time as the others, which I slightly do miss. Number two, the last two elements of the ride are pretty fun, and they're not like the quick pops airtime. This includes a sizable drop with more sustained forces and airtime, and then you have a very quick turn into the brakes that give you some pretty good laterals to the right. Overall, Iron Gwazi is much like Fury 325 in that it is just a speed demon with some awesome flavor. I really wish Steel Vengeance was in the mold of Iron Gwazi, just kind of being bigger, more sustained on speed and whatnot. Whatever though. You guys know my take on Steel Vengeance, so but that's all I've got for Iron Gwazi today. So who's been on Iron Gwazi? If you have, tell me what you think about the coaster in the comments below. Check out Canby Coaster's review in the description that I've linked for a deeper analysis and some better footage if you're interested in that. And with that, I hope to see you all tomorrow. Push down, pull up, exit to the right. Hope you enjoyed the video, and go have your greatest day yet. Choo choo, bye.